we welcome you back to our local candidate interviews on WFJA and WWGP Radio, and brought to you by Sandhills Broadcasting and Brick Capital Video. We're here at the WFJA studio. I'm John Ramsperger, and your host for today's Sanford City Council interviews. I remind our listeners that today through Thursday, each afternoon, these interviews will air live on WFJA and WWGP, as well as stream on the WFJA website. Videos of the candidate interviews will post each evening on the WFJA website as well. Our next interview for the Sanford City Council Ward 1 race is Democrat Ken Britton. So Ken, welcome to WFJA and our candidate interviews.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and looking forward to our conversation.
Very good. Thank you as well. So Ken, tell those that are listening today a little bit about yourself, your background, perhaps why you're seeking election and the Ward 1 City Council.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a 30-year resident of Sanford. Called home for a long time. I live here with my wife, Erin, my 4 kids, 2 girls, Grace and Hannah, who are in high school, and Wesley over in middle school. Son Connor is in Tramway at 3rd grade, and Kenny, our youngest, is still in preschool over at First Presbyterian.
You got your hands full.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's spare time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Professionally, I'm in a corporate strategy, lead a innovation group with a company called Miller Knoll. Lucky enough to be able to live here in Sanford, but at the same time have a global remote role. I bring significant professional experience. I've been in the automotive industry, the agriculture industry, and consumer goods industry. I've held significant roles in different functional areas in every single one of those stints. My professional experience, I feel, is really going to be an advantage for me, going to city council. And educationally, went to a graduate Lee Senior, went to NC State for my undergrad, and Campbell University for my MBA. So for me, I've civically also been very, very engaged in the community for the past decade. I'm in my 8th year for the Sanford City Planning Board, which I currently chair. I'm on the Joint Planning Commission as a part of for city planning as well. Also on the Saga board, which is Lee County Commissioners appointed. On the CCC Foundation, which you and I serve together, also Saga as well. And also lucky enough to be on the Central Carolina Hospital Advisory Board as well. And so,
you don't have any free time then?
No, not. And that's what he's like, why are you doing this now? I mean, you got all, you're doing all this, you got the home life, you've got the stuff you're doing civically, professionally. For me personally, it's the right time. Everything I think is culminating with my experience and my passion for Sanford and what we're going through. We can be honest, we're really getting ready to go through a transformational shift in our like small town that we all know we love.
We can't call it a small town for too much longer.
Not much longer.
And I get it.
Yeah, we moved here in 1989. I think we had 18,000 residents at the time. US 1 was still 2 lanes, pine trees. If you got behind somebody slow, it would take you about 45 minutes to get to Cary. You had to go everywhere to do anything. But it wasn't Sanford. But now, we truly, we're in a renaissance. And not only has the city council, all government, all partners, public and private, led us to where we are today. And I'm just excited to be a part of our next phase and chapter that we're about to be in.
So Ken, you're running for Ward 1, which is the currently expiring term of Councilman Gaskins.
Yes.
Primarily West Sanford District. What do you see are the biggest challenges ahead for City Council for the next term?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on it a little bit.
You did,
we're definitely going through a rapid phase of expansion, kind of like a takeoff phase. Again, everything has been laid as far as the groundwork for the last 30 years, especially the last 8 years with the Open for Business agenda from Mayor Mann and City Sanford. The biggest challenge that we're going to have is, I think, really it's infrastructure. I've had hundreds of conversations with constituents in Ward 1 and citizens of Sanford. And, aside from the optimism and the excitement of what we're going through, there's a lot of concerns. The main concern is keeping up, again, with the infrastructure that we have and staying ahead of the growth. So infrastructure can take and takes a lot of paths. So first, obviously, our roads, our schools, making sure that our police department and our fire departments are, adequately staffed and we have enough to cover the continued growth that we have. And addition to that, housing, right? I mean, we know, being on the city planning board, we've approved over 6,200, single family homes.
Permits, yeah.
And total, I think we have 9,200, behind single family, multifamily, and even townhomes. So having an adequate stock of supply of housing for people that are actually coming here and expecting to have a place to live, that is a huge challenge. And, they're moving along, but as we know, there's significant constraints in, our economy today, as far as labor, as far as materials, and, other issues that are, slowing things down. So staying ahead of it is a huge challenge. Another is, like, you think about macro. We don't think about, the micro is like, let's focus on us here, but the macro perspective is, we have a recession potentially coming in 2 to 3 years. We have geopolitical issues that, we don't think, are impacting Sanford and Lee County, North Carolina.
They might trickle down.
That they truly do.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky to be in the area that we are. I always say that we are not recession proof, but we're recession resistant, because we have so many.
Yeah.
We're very advantageous to where we're at with the workforce, the cost of living, the climate, the diversity of industry. So we're very, very fortunate to be where we're at. But at the same time, there's a lot of challenges that we still need to face.
Our proximity to the Research Triangle region, to use a regional designation, I think is accurate. So we can talk hyper-local, micro, but the macro, which is the regional approach, I think we ought to do better, and it might be sooner than later that the R word, recession, might come, which I don't predict nor wish that it would come. But I agree. You answered appropriately about what we should be looking at. And the previous candidate, Mark Akanosho, I appreciate that both of you had talked about infrastructure. I don't think, if I could use the word, that is a sexy thing to talk about in a political environment.
Yeah.
It's kind of sort of, boring.
Yeah.
But it's very important to talk about. Water, sewer, infrastructure, police, fire, staffing, that kind of a thing. Because the growth is indeed coming, and how we manage that growth has to do with what I jokingly talked, the non-sexy stuff like that.
It's the blocking and tackling.
It really is.
Yeah,
it really is. So the city council has had success in luring industry, as you had already indicated, and you had referenced the Sanford Area Growth Alliance and that kind of a thing. So business is coming, and it's not only coming to Sanford and Lee County, but to obviously Moncure and with VinFast and all that kind of stuff. What do you see the role of Sanford City Council, though, in recruiting?
Yeah, so tax incentives are depending on how you look at it. Some people think it's a 4-letter word.
It is.
Some are very
it's
positive.
a hot button, sure.
But at the same time, the city council, it's not on the city council shoulders alone, obviously, to, provide incentives and come up with business plans or plans to drive and lure business. It's really it's a partnership. And what SOG has done over the last 8 to 10 years in partnership with the city and city council, the county commissioners, and state and federal government to basically create a roadmap, a model to actually drive and attract and retain businesses and industry to this area. It's hard to say that it's not a success story. So for city council, I would say the role for city council is obviously to look at it as one portion of the piece of the puzzle. We need to look at it from the city's perspective of what can we afford, right? It's a give and a take.
Budgeting.
You get a budget. There's something you're giving up to attract. So you're giving up tax incentives. You're deferring taxes. You're potentially giving land. You're potentially giving free training and other intangibles that they potentially may not be able to get. And so, it's really just being a partner, being, there, listening, and coming up with the best, most collective win-win situation that you can. And there has to be a return on investment for the city, and there needs to be thresholds in place and milestones in place to make sure that we're protecting ourselves, we're protecting our taxpayers and the commitment that they're giving, because the dollars that you give from an incentive standpoint, they could go somewhere else. As far as
accurate.
Exactly. So
they can go somewhere else today, I guess. Yeah. And maybe what we're trying to do, if we have any hindsight or foresight, is to pay it forward and see a return in possibly a revenue neutral or a reduction of taxes, and or more folks contributing to the tax base.
Yep.
And I agree with you. You couch that with talking about it depends on which side of the fence you're kind of sort of on, and I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Because some folks like it, some folks don't.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that go out there and carte blanche give away the farm, and luckily we're not, that's not the style and the approach that we've taken. But I continue to see City Council continue to partner alongside with Saga, along with the county commissioners, along with the state and federal government, to make sure that we are coming up with the best plan to attract and retain industry, but at the same time making sure that we're protecting ourselves and we're protecting the interests of our community and our citizens.
So what's interesting is that this next question kind of sort of couches the same things you just referenced. So in a community like ours, after you and I got done talking about all the fantastic industrial recruitment, as well as the new construction permits and for residential housing and all that, how do we protect the existing residents of Sanford? And how do we balance those that are antagonistic and thinking, you're not going to do that to me, City Council, or something to that nature?
Yeah.
And you're ruining what is the picturesque, beautiful Sanford. And I understand those sentiments, but how do we strike a balance between contributing to the tax base and bringing new folks in and keeping Sanford what people treasure and love?
It's a great question. One near and
tough question.
It's a tough question. Yeah, one near and dear to my heart. Like I said, over the last 8 years, I've had the pleasure to serve on the planning board for the city.
Yeah.
And then again, chairing over the last year and being on the Joint Planning Commission. And so, when we first started, I first started to serve on the planning board. It was pretty rare that we were actually meeting every month. Honestly, it would be a miracle if we met every quarter.
Oh yeah.
Over the last 3 years, as everyone knows, we haven't missed a meeting.
Yeah.
The agenda is completely packed.
There's that much to do.
We have all new rezoning requests from commercial to residential, commercial, annexations. And at the same time, with the more people coming in, we don't have the luxury of having our 20, which is half acre, and our 40 lots, which is an acre, inside city limits. We do still have that opportunity, but as we continue to grow, density is a real thing. And density for a lot of people is a 4-letter word. But I can say with confidence that our staff at the city and in partnership with the county, we have an amazing long-range plan called Plan San Lee in place that gives us the vision to make sure that we have land use and types that are conducive and synergistic to each other.
Dare I say consistent and or predictable.
Exactly.
Not trying to put words in your mouth, but I get it. I've reviewed the plan many a time.
Just like that. And then we also have our UDO, which is Uniform Development Ordinance, which is, many would say is a little antiquated, but I would also say that, we're getting ready to approve an updated UDO, which is fantastic in my opinion. And I get, as the planning board member and as the chair, you get a lot of calls, right? You said, not in my backyard. Why are we have this dense of a neighborhood here? And I agree a lot of times. If it's not conducive, if it doesn't match up with land use type, we're going to try and follow that plan to a T and provide and recommend our council to the city council to do so. And so I'm excited to the plan that we're moving forward with, the UDO that we're getting ready to move forward with, hopefully an approval in July. Is going to provide the product that we want. It's going to provide the the open space that we need, active and passive space. And we're not going to have cookie cutter neighborhoods where every house looks the same. The quality of the materials and product is subpar. And every community is going to have curb and gutter, and it's going to really be what Sanford wants, and I think what Sanford will be proud of in the future.
All right, stop right there. Terry, come into it. He just told me that if a power flickers, he's lost everything that's happened, so he's going to cut it off, cut it back on. And then
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Because I would sure hate to lose what we've done today.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, if you lose, because we are brilliant.
We are.
Okay,
We are
now
outstanding.
you're
Well, that's an important button to push.
That's right. All right.
You still got 6 minutes left.
Okay. So, Ken, the safety of our citizens is an important role for our city and certainly for the city police department. So, how important is it for you as a potential new council member to help create good public relations between the city of Sanford and the police department?
Well, I would say, I mean, it is of most importance. I mean, not only from where we are today, but where we're moving towards. I think a healthy relationship between our law enforcement and public is paramount. And there's been difficult challenges that other municipalities have dealt with and had to deal with in the past few years. That I think the chief and our police force have done a fantastic job crossing boundaries, building deep relationships, and building deep trust to make sure that there is that collaborative spirit, in the community. And as city council and as a potential council member, I see as extremely paramount that we continue to encourage, that relationship and do everything we possibly can to ensure that there's not a breakdown of trust between the community and our police force.
I think it would be detrimental not only to lose that trust, but probably very hard to gain it back.
Absolutely.
Not something you can just turn a switch and.
That's right. So I tell my kids a lot sometimes.
That's right. Yeah. We have our dad stories, don't we?
No, tons. We don't have enough time for it for
Yeah,
dad
that's right.
jokes.
That's right. So the city has completed many beautification projects recently to include downtown Sanford as well as downtown Jonesboro.
Yeah.
In my opinion, public monies have been committed, which I supported from the get-go, and private monies have followed. And I think it's been a terrific success myself. What types of projects would you see ahead for the city of Sanford?
So I'm going to back up a little bit and say that the bond referendum of 2013, 2013 is I think $14.5 million of streetscape, downtown Jonesboro, downtown Sanford, the Greenway, parks. It's undoubtedly been a huge success to revitalize Sanford, to provide amenities that we all want and crave, and not only us as legacy residents of Sanford, but those that are looking to move to our town. They expect that.
Yeah, they do.
And
or else they wouldn't come.
They wouldn't. No. So I'm 100% in favor of continuing to move forward and accelerate. And honestly, we kind of fell down a little bit in some the parks. Like we had to cut budget. The Greenway isn't completed, but so for the future future projects, one, definitely we need to finish the Greenways. We need to connect downtown to those greenways to provide a contiguous area for people to run, walk throughout the community. We need to finish the master plan for our parks. We also, another big opportunity I think is continuing to beautify all the streets in and out of Sanford. We continue to widen out 2-lane, what we're going to do on Carthage Street, provide the bike
the road diet.
Yeah, the
in
road
which
diet.
we put in the bike lanes and we narrow it and maybe beautify it. My business is on North Horner Boulevard, and I understand the NCDOT has designs to put a median in the middle of Horner Boulevard. And for those that are listening that are probably older than Ken and I, they can remember when it was Endor Street, and Endor Street was widened to create Horner Boulevard at some point in time. But I agree, that's very exciting to know that is coming. Certainly, we could talk about the 421 bypass, which was a fantastic idea, probably ahead of its time, knowing that growth would come.
Absolutely.
And these were decisions that were made 10 and 15 years, actually probably longer than that, like 15 or 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a turn of 2003 or 4 or 5.
Yeah,
yeah. And so, no, all about continuing to invest in our city, making sure that we have those areas for people to live, work, and play, especially play, and provide that connectivity throughout the community. And so I would say continue to move forward, continue to invest, continue to support these initiatives, and I think the return on investment is evident. What we've experienced, but I think it will continue to pay dividends in the long run.
I do as well, and I do remember as I lived in the same city that you did in 2013, promoting the bond referendums, and I remember the slings and arrows that I got in local restaurants saying, "Really, John? That's a horrible use of my tax monies."
Yeah.
And I would simply say, "No, this is good. We're going to get it back, more than 2, 3, or 4-fold, because we are actually contributing to the betterment of what is beautiful in Sanford and making it better."
Yeah, you can talk to any business owner downtown.
That's what I'm getting at.
I'm sure they'll tell you.
I think I'm biased. I'm going to admit that.
You are, but
No,
it's okay.
No, well, thank you for saying so, but I'm not trying to be too selfish for our viewers today. But I think that the monies and the contributions to the tax base have been fantastic.
Totally agree.
So, Ken, we want to thank you for your time today and coming in to do this interview. On behalf of the station, we wish you the best of luck in Ward 1, Sanford City Council. Any final words before we move on?
No, I just, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Really excited about the opportunity to serve as a Sanford City Council member. I truly believe that I will bring great passion, experience, and leadership into our next phase of growth. And as we all know, early voting starts on Thursday, ends on May 14th. And the primary is on May 17th. So please go out and vote for Ken Britton. You can find me on Facebook at Ken Britton for Sanford City Council. You can email me at kenbrittonforsanfordcc@gmail.com. I'm here, I'm all ears, and I will incorporate your voice into my service and my campaign if I have lucky enough to have the opportunity. So thank you all so much, and I hope you have a great day.
Well, Ken, thank you very much. And I want to join Sandhills Broadcasting and Brick Capital Video in thanking Ken Britton for talking with us today. We're going to take another short break, and when we return, we'll talk with the Republican candidate for Sanford City Council Ward 1 candidate, Republican Blaine Sutton.